Okay, let's go. So we're up to Shin Chof Gimel Seif Ches, correct? Yeah. Kais Sheshos by Ein Yehudi Mutal Adicha Dirakol. So you got a case, you got a glass of wine or whatever, and it was drunk by a non-Jewish person. Mutal Adicha Dirakol. You're allowed to rinse it out on Shabbos. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Yayin. So he drinks a glass of wine. Af b'lei hadocha also lishtamish by. Even though without washing it you can't drink from this wine because it's wine touched by a non-Jewish person, which is tam yain. But rinsing it out is not considered a tikkun. The kli itself is okay. It's just that there's a little bit of wine left over that asses it. Oh, so we'll see. Yeah. When you remove the wine and pour it out, which is what you right, that's how you fix it. You're not really fixing the glass. The glass was always okay. It's just that there's a bit of wine that you can't touch or drink. You're just removing the dovamos. Imagine you've got, I know, some leftover wine, or you've got some wine that somebody else drank and you want to just pour it out. That's not a problem. Also, it's over here. If, however, you know that you're not going to use it again today, because that's a hachana shaila. Because why are you doing it? And still, you're allowed to move the case without rinsing it. Even if you've got little sort of breadcrumbs in that the non-Jewish person put the bread in to soak, to wine and to dip his challah into the wine, you're still allowed to move the case. It's not called a bossis l'dava also dapurim b'teilim l'gabe case because they're so insignificant that it's nothing. So, for example, you've got money in the drawer. So money in the drawer is going to be a bosses l'dava also. But if you only got a few coins, that's nothing. So it's got to be something a bit more substantial. So you might want to say, I can do. I'll add more wine to the remnants of wine there, and I'll be mevatel it. Says the Trumas Hadeshen, ein levatel issa b'Shabbos. You can't be mevatel lechatchil on Shabbos. Because that is a tikkun. You're fixing something which is a problem. For after b'yeridei simin sali tesivov ba'agos v'yirlei. The afbechol ein levatel shum issa. You're not allowed to be mevatel issa lahoisif alav da'ad shishim afilim issa jabonon ein mevatel issa lechatchila. Mikol mokum nafkamin in yovish b'yovish nisaref chad betray. It could be in a situation where you've got not liquid, but you've got yovish b'yovish, cold dry pieces, shenis arif chad betray, where you've got 1 and 2, but one is also, you've got 1 trefa piece and 2 kosher pieces. In that situation, you're allowed to be moisif ad shishim, kedisa b'yerideh siman kuftes. Now that's a problem because there you fixed it. So in a situation where you can be mevatel issa lechatchila, you're not allowed to do that because that would be considered a tikkun. But if the issa has been burnt, literally, i.e., is not recognizable, it's not distinct, then it would be okay. You are allowed to get your tape measure out or your measuring thing out and to estimate what 60 is. Even though you only discovered it on Shabbos and the mixing took place before Shabbos, where there's a tzad to say that maybe I should have done this before Shabbos, and you're estimating. It's a sort of an estimate. But to properly measure you can't do. Even though we've said previously that a medida for a mitzvah purpose is allowed to measure, for example, the size of your tzitzis or there's 40 so in a mikvah for mitzvah purposes, okay. Here, however, not. Here, the measuring is considered a tikkun. You're doing a ma'aseh, and therefore it's considered a tikkun. You're fixing the wine, which is also. If you've got, so till now we're talking about the wine at the bottom of the glass, and you want to add to it. But let's say you've got yovish b'yovish, just dry pieces of meat or whatever it is. If you discard one, that would enable the other 2 to be okay. That would be okay, and it's not considered an issue of tikkun to kiven to ena ela chumra ba'alma. therefore it's not really tikkun. The medina kol she'ein nechel la'adam echad shari. Anything which cannot be eaten by one person is actually okay. Al kain lo havir zeh mesakin. It's not really considered an issue of tikkun. Sakin treifa. Now you got a treifa knife. If you want to use it for cold things, you need to rinse it. So, for example, you're away in a self-catering cottage or something, and you forgot your challah knife. So you've got a knife there, and you want to cut the challah. So you need to rinse the knife to make sure there's no residue, and you're cutting cold things. It would be okay. But are you allowed to rinse it to do a hadacha? The mashmas shifshuf hetiv loy hadacha ba'alma. Ein lasazeh b'Shabbos. A proper scrubbing would not be okay. Just a rinsing would be right, but just a proper scrubbing is a problem. To have it k'mesaken, because that would be considered a tikkun on Shabbos. You're sort of making a treifa knife usable, and that would be considered a tikkun. Okay, test. So we're up to Shin Chof Gimel Siif Test. Mutter l'shaf shefa Keilim b'chol dover. You're allowed to scrub Keilim with any material. Chutz mikli kesef b'gartikon, but you can't scrub silver with gartikon. What's gartikon? Shu shimre yayin kashenis yapshu. It's the sediment of wine which has dried up. The niskashun has become hard. Because that will it will sort of rub away the silver, which is a bit more moldable, a bit softer. It says the Mishnah Berurah Lamed Ches b'chol davar v'afilu b'neter v'chol. You can even rub or clean or scrub kelim with neter and chol. Neter is some sort of carbonate, some sort of salt, and chol is sand. Kasheyichid lohem mibayidiyim mokim mibayidiyim she'ena mukta. We're talking about a situation, otherwise it's muktzah. So we're talking about where you've designated this before Shabbos, and therefore these materials are not muktzah. But near the davka k'shayachol mugbal b'mayim be'erev Shabbos, it was in water. It was maybe in this, it was in water and from erev Shabbos. So shlekech atachol b'li taravus mayim, or you haven't got it's not mixed up with water. Or you put so much water in, what is all the concern? Because if you've got sort of watery sand, it's like a doughy type of mixture, and we're worried about that. So either you have a lot of water or very little water, where it won't be a problem of lisha. You're allowed to pick up some sand with wet hands, even though you're sort of mamachik, you're sort of washing, you're dissolving the sand a bit. You're not really intending that, and therefore it's okay. But with this gartikon, with this dried wine sediment, that's a psik ratio that you're going to rub away some of the metal. He prohibited rubbing glass with shiboles shul, it's a type of grain, to make it shine. And the question is why? Perhaps he was of the opinion and it's hard to understand what exactly the problem is, but cleaning a glass is definitely not a problem, but making it sort of sparkle, maybe that's more of an issue, and therefore that was his concern. Okay, chutz mikli chesef, but you can't take this gartikon to clean a kli kesef, because it was, we said, because it's mamachik. So it says in Mishnah Berurah, Sif Kotan Lamates, or shar kelim afilu benartikon nami shari. But if it's it's other kelim and you want to clean it, to scrub it with that material, with this gartikon, that would be okay. But not silver, why not? Says in Mishnah Berurah mem, v'alkein also lahashchiz hasakin b'Shabbos, af shelo b'rechaim, rak be'etz v'chodeme, to doime lemamachik. And therefore, to sharpen a knife on Shabbos, even not in a rechaim, but just with the eights, with wood or something, that's doime lemamachik. You're rubbing away the bits of the knife to sharpen it. That's how you sharpen it, because you've got bits of the knife which you're rubbing away, and therefore it's a shaila of mamachik. Okay, Yud. Let's just finish off the siman. Ein chayfafin keilim b'melach. You can't rub keilim with salt. Lefisha melach nimche k'shechayfef b'chazaka. that the salt sort of dissolves when you rub it, and that's a shaila of noilad. It's like crushing ice. You're getting rid of the ice and you're producing some water. Well, so too, if you take the salt and you rub it against something, you're getting rid of it, and a bit of liquid will produce, and that's a shaila of noilad. Says Mishnah Berurah Mem Aleph, Kashamelach Nimche, you're crushing snow and ice. Ein Shomatam Mishnah Berurah. The reason we said over there was it was a shaila of noilat. Valkein Kasu Apoiskim, the Dafka Lochuf Bamelach also. To rub with the salt is a problem. And just like you can put your ice or your salt, your sugar, your snow into water, like we discussed, that's not a problem of noilad. Yeah. So too, you can put a bit of salt into some water, and with that salt water concoction, you can clean things. Says because that's not a problem of noilad, because you don't discern the ice that you've crushed and to make water. Well, so too, if you take the melach itself is a problem, but if you put it in water, then it's not noticeable. Then it would be okay. All right, say that's a good place to stop.